Greetings and welcome to our webinar. My name is Michael Holt, and I want to thank you for joining our College Expense Reduction webinar. During the webinar, I'll be discussing several aspects of college planning and reviewing some of the changes in the upcoming FAFSA reform as well. I'd also like to have a little of your participation too. As we proceed through the webinar, there are a couple of questions I'll pose to you. We like to have your input through some pop-ups on the screen. One last item, you will see my contact information on the bottom of each slide. I'll also review with you how you can get access to my calendar for your free college aid planning assessment appointment in just a couple of slides. But I'd also like to first share a little bit about who Pro College Consulting is. We are a leader in short-term college aid planning. We work in conjunction with thousands of financial professionals, such as myself, around the country to better serve families. During the last 29 years, we have helped thousands of students nationally attend the college of their choice by helping families lower their EFC and find schools meeting the highest percentage of need. Now, if you don't know what the EFC is, that's okay. We're going to cover that a little later in the presentation. And as we get started, just a little bit about me. I am a financial and insurance planning specialist. I've been in the business for 22 years. I assist families and businesses with financial planning. I also assist families with the financial aspect of college planning. I'm a founding member of Lifestyle Income Strategies, and I'm a member of the Association of Financial Consultants, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to offering unbiased financial information. And we do that with things like free booklets, seminars, and the webinars such as this one. You can also see I've listed my contact information below here for your convenience. And at the bottom, you can see my link to my Calendly page, which will help you set up a meeting with me. It's also listed at the bottom of the webinar. I invite you to take advantage of this meeting because it's a great starting point to understanding college funding. So let's get started. What is a college financial aid planner? It is a financial professional who works with you in the aid planning process. They have no vested interest in any particular school, government agency, or lending institution. We're actually employed by you to help your family receive the best possible aid package. And our primary concern is you, our client. Planners, though, have a thorough understanding of the financial aid process. So by using a college aid planner, it can mean thousands of dollars in increased aid eligibility. Think of me as like a tax accountant who suggests tax reduction strategies to their clients. We work along those same lines. With the college costs families are faced with today, I'm sure you agree you need all the help you can get. So now I have my first question for you, and feel free to participate by providing your answer on the screen. How many of you have attempted to fill out a FAFSA form? I'll give it a few seconds here. Okay, I see some things coming in. Well, let me offer this. For those that have, you know it asks for a lot of financial information, and it can be quite challenging to understand what you should and should not include on the form. For those of you who have not completed a FAFSA before, I'll be talking about that in the next slide to provide you with some more information, so hang tight. But whether you have or have not completed this form before, we at Pro College Consulting are experts, and we can help provide guidance with the form. So what is the FAFSA? It is a free application for federal student aid. This form is the first thing colleges look at when determining who qualifies for financial aid. This form is also how your family qualifies for the Pell Grant. And as it says, it is a free application. But did you know that each year, billions of dollars in financial aid is left on the table by students who didn't file the FAFSA? Because if you don't file, obviously you can't qualify. But you do automatically qualify for a low-interest federal loan too, just for submitting the FAFSA. Some merit-based scholarships require the FAFSA as well to help them determine scholarship amounts. One more important thing to know is that the form must be submitted each year. And at Pro College Consulting, we will help you file this form for all undergraduate years as part of our service. So let's talk about what the EFC is and the new SAI. Let's start with the EFC, which is the expected family contribution, and then the SAI, which is the Student Aid Index. The FAFSA Simplification Act brought a redesign of the process used to award federal student aid, starting with the 24-25 academic year. Now, the SAI, like the EFC, is used to assess the amount of financial aid a family should be awarded. In the past, families were led to believe that the expected family contribution calculated the amount of money a family was expected to pay. This is simply not true. The new name more accurately reflects the job of this number, which is to give you an idea of the amount of student aid a family is eligible to receive. This redesign affects the methodology used to determine aid as well as allows for different levels of the Pell Grant. So the needs analysis formula, which is a formula that colleges use to determine what financial aid a family needs, will remain the same. And if you want to write this down, this is the formula. It's very simple. Basically, it's the cost of attendance, and you subtract out the EFC, now called the SAI, and that equals the eligibility for need-based aid. That is the equation. So you may think the new FAFSA form with less questions now is going to be easier, but that may not be the case because with less questions comes greater generalization and more ambiguity. It may be even less clear what financial information is actually being requested. So another form I want to talk about is the CSS profile, which is known as the College Scholarship Service Profile, and it's done through the College Board. Colleges use this form to help distribute aid from sources such as endowment funds. The profile becomes available starting October 1st, and each school has its own deadline to submit the form. Colleges that use the CSS profile require more information than the FAFSA. So this is what the school's financial aid officer uses to have a better idea of a family's financial situation. So two students with CSS profiles may have some differences, although there will be a lot of overlap. This is because each college has their own formula to decide how much money to award. In addition to a school's regular deadline, there are also early decision and early action deadlines depending on the school. So filing within the early decision period gives the greatest chance of receiving the maximum potential financial aid. So here, let's talk about some cost of some colleges here in California. I'm offering this slide with a few Southern colleges and some Northern colleges as well. You can see the cost of college, increases every year. That's why it's important to take advantage of a financial aid planner to maximize the amount of financial aid you can receive. It's expensive, no matter where you attend. Books, room and board, and living expenses all add up. 4 years of college can easily total between $100,000 to $300,000 with some colleges. But the right planning, even with a private nonprofit 4-year college, can cost the same or even less than a public college. It's possible to get USC to look a little more like the University of Silicon Valley, but you have to know the process and you have to make the plan. Don't worry if you don't see your college of choice on the slide. Our college planning professionals can help you determine the sticker price of your specific colleges or colleges that you're looking at. That's one of the things we can help you with during the free consultation as well. Again, just as a reminder for anyone needing the information or joining us late, you can see my cell phone and email and a link to my calendar below. So be sure and take advantage of that as well. Now I'd like to talk about and address some issues of the families who don't really understand the system and don't make a plan. Parents that dive in with no plan for paying for college end up overpaying for all the costs associated with college. And that can result in families taking on too much debt, ultimately reaching into savings, and eventually may ruin retirement plans. Parents who do not earn all the financial aid they qualify for end up dealing with additional stress from this looming money pit. When you're paying $30,000 per year or per semester, Time flies by very fast, and before you know it, you're paying another 30,000, and it may not be something you're prepared for. Now, all of this can really be completely avoided, but only if you look at the right places and take the right steps needed to secure proper college funding. Here are a few more mistakes that really cost families. Many families forego filing the FAFSA all because they believe they make too much money. This could not be further from the truth. Parents do not give themselves a chance to get financial aid money and disqualify themselves from the start. So parents often leave more money on the table for schools to give out to other students. And I say, why do that? Remember, you automatically qualify for a low interest federal loan when you file the FAFSA. Parents and students also may not realize that they need to file a separate financial aid form, the CSS profile that we talked about, for their students' selected schools. This is true even if the FAFSA is completed. These schools require the CSS profile to be completed in order to provide any financial aid to the family. Another mistake families make is waiting until the last minute. If you don't file early, the chances of your student getting all the financial aid they qualify for drops dramatically. Waiting until later to submit the financial aid forms practically guarantees that your schools will have less money to award. And even if your family would qualify for full tuition coverage, and if the financial aid forms are filed too late, you may not receive any money. Now, I want to talk about three types of deadlines here. There are college deadlines. That's important when you're applying for aid from a college. These deadlines vary by school, like the early action and early decision deadlines. There are state deadlines. Those are important, obviously, when you're applying for aid from your state. There are federal deadlines, and that is June 30th. This is the last day you can apply for federal aid for the following academic year, but we don't recommend waiting to file that long. You definitely want to file this early. It's a best practice to submit before your earliest college's deadline. On the FAFSA, some types of assets are not included, such as your primary home. Parents often make this mistake too of adding the value of protected assets, which lowers the amount of aid their student will qualify for. And one of the biggest mistakes is not negotiating financial aid packages. We know exactly how much you should be awarded, and pro college consultants make sure you don't make that mistake. Another mistake is not listing all the family members on the form as well. So there are a lot of potential mistakes that could cost you funding dollars. So let's talk about how to get more need-based aid for college as well. Earning more financial aid is a two-step process, and we're going to review some of this again. The first step is to lower your EFC that we discussed. This helps you qualify for more financial aid awards like the Pell Grant. This is done by rearranging your assets and protecting them so they are not counted on the FAFSA. This is my job as a financial advisor because I know exactly what assets need to be protected and then excluded. The second step is selecting schools that offer larger financial aid packages. Some schools, like Johns Hopkins, will cover 100% of the family's need, but some schools may just cover 60 to 85%. And we will even conduct a customized college search for you using our extensive database at Pro College Funding. This may really help you determine the best colleges that meet your goals. So, who is eligible for financial aid? Because there's a lot of common misconceptions here as well. One of them being parents think they make too much money, their income is just too high, or they think scholarships only come from merit. Some parents may think that if their child does not qualify for need based aid, there's really no hope. And another big misconception is that parents think the process is simple, fair, and easy, but it is not. In reality, families that make upwards of $400,000 a year can still receive financial aid from many sources, including private and federal scholarships. Remember, college institutions provide family financial aid based on many factors, such as need, merit, majors, extracurriculars, and even being the first one in your family to attend college. The FAFSA used to provide an EFC reduction for families with multiple children, attending college at the same time. But with the changes made under the new legislation, FAFSA no longer reduces family contribution due to the number of college attendees. So let's talk about what type of financial aid is available. There are four main types of financial aid. The first one is scholarships and grants. This is money that does not need to be paid back, as long as requirements such as GPA and attendance, etc., are met. Some examples of this include the federal Pell Grant, the federal Supplemental Education Opportunity Grant, and the teacher education assistance for college and higher education grants. Those are just some examples. The second category is federal student loans. These are your direct subsidized or unsubsidized loans, like the Stafford loan and Parent Plus loans. Work study is the third type. This is money that is earned through working. Typically, the student would be working at the college to earn this. The last type is all other loans. These are things like state of college loans or private loans. These type of loans are the worst for families to choose from because the terms and conditions are less advantageous than federal loans. So keep in mind too that many schools also offer tuition payment plans, which may help reduce the amount of loans that you actually need. And I have another question for you here, so feel free to respond. Do any of your child's schools require the CSS profile? And you can participate again by replying with your answer in the box. Okay, I see some things coming in. Yes, I mentioned this form a few times in the webinar. Remember that not every college requires it. Many people are not going to know right away if their college requires the CSS profile. You may need to do some research, but I can tell you that Pro College Consulting does know, and we can even help you file it. So thanks for your participation. So let's talk about some other things we do. Here's one of them. We create a customized student profile report. We look at your family's income and assets, and we show you what we can expect from colleges in terms of financial aid. We also provide you with additional information to help you choose the best schools for your student. We consider things such as their major and interest, test scores, grades, and even the school acceptance rates. This is a large report, so we don't just stop there by generating it. Your assigned college planner will review this form with you to make sure you understand it and are well informed when making decisions about colleges. Here are a few more services that we offer as well. We have a financial aid analysis team that will help you when you start receiving those aid letters. These letters can be confusing, and we don't want you accepting a low funding offer. In the case you get a letter with low funding, we help you draft letters to negotiate a better package. We have a good idea of what you should be getting, and we have a great track record of making sure your school matches them. Also, I touched on some of these points before, but let's review the list, which we call our promise to you. This is a list of all of our services we offer. As you can see from the slide, we provide the student profile report that we just covered. Another promise to you is that we will analyze your ability to qualify for college funding. And we will provide a customized college search for up to 8 colleges you're considering. And there's more. We'll also provide you access to what we call our negotiations team, so we can help you obtain more financial aid in the case you receive a low funding offer. The other thing I'd like to touch on is that if you are preparing for the admissions process, we have some tools to help. We can help polish any college essays. We can also provide you with study booklets to raise the SAT or ACT scores. And we know the best companies for student loans if you end up needing any additional funding. One last slide about our services. We provide a free consultation meeting that I've discussed with you, where I invite you to take advantage of the opportunity right away. If your student is a couple of years away from college, up to already being in college, you can definitely benefit from our services. There are two things that families always enjoy about Pro College Consulting, and that is the completion of the FAFSA and the CSS profile form as well. These forms, as you know, can be tedious, and we make sure everything is correct and only the information that required is on them. Two, you will always have access to our customer service team to answer any questions you may have. And lastly, don't forget that we will file the FAFSA for you for all undergraduate years. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for attending the webinar. I trust you found the information to be informative and useful. Here's the next step for you. I encourage you to connect with me through my phone, email, or calendar to schedule your free college assessment planning session. You can see the information on the slide here, and the calendar link is listed below, so be sure and make a note of that. Pro College Consulting is always ready to assist your family with the entire college aid planning process. I'll leave this slide up for another 30 seconds so you can note my information. And thank you once again for attending.